Hi guys, the topic for this video is compound interest. What I'd like you to do is to pause the video and have a go at working out the percentage multiplier for the following examples. So please pause the video, have a go, then press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, these are the answers. So remember, just a quick recap. The first one, this one here, 15% increase. Well, the original amount was 100%, so you add on 15%, that would be about 115%. So therefore, as a multiplier, you'd have to work it, you have to convert this into a decimal. So you convert it into a fraction first, that'll be 115 over 100. And as a decimal, 115 over 100 basically means 115 divided by 100. It means 115 divided by 100, which is basically 1.15, okay? That's how you work out the multiplier for the first one. In case you forgot how to do this, please watch my previous video on percentage multipliers, okay? So what we're going to be learning today is compound interest. What is compound interest? So for example, you go to the bank, okay? Let's say, for instance, you pay £100 into the bank. Then they tell you if you leave the money in the bank, okay, they will add to it. They will give you 10% each year. So you had £100 you put it into the bank, and they're going to give you 10% each year. This is what is first called interest, okay? So it's extra money, in simple terms, extra money that a bank gives you, okay? It's kind of like a reward for uh, for having the money in the bank, basically. Okay, all right. So simple and compound interest. So there are a few types of interest: simple and compound interest. Simple interest, for example, if you put money into a bank, it will pay you interest. Okay, so if you have borrowed money from a bank, you have to pay them interest. So it goes the other way around. Okay, so you put money into the bank, the bank will give you interest, so extra money. And if you borrow money from the bank, then you have to pay interest. So for example, if I borrow £100 from the bank, I have to give back that £100 plus an extra amount, which is an interest. Okay, so simple interest is calculated on a yearly basis. We're going to go through this, a quick example. So simple interest here, for example, it says here, Homer has 10% simple interest on his £200. Each year he will get 10% of his £200. What is 10% of £200? That's £20. So how would it? So here's how the first 5 years look. So in the first year, or year zero, it's £200. After the first year, he gets 10% of the original amount, which is £20. And in the second year, they add on another 10% of the original amount. So they add on £20 again. That's £240 after the second year. After the third year, they add on £10. They add on, sorry, £20. They add on £20. And in year five, they add on £20, and that's going to be £300, sorry. Okay. So simple interest basically is they're adding each year the same amount. Okay. Compound interest is a little bit more complex. So what's basically going on here? It says that if you put money into a bank, they will pay you interest similar like before, but compound interest is interest added to the principal. Okay, so and it's compounding. This will make sense with an example. Okay, so a few definitions that you need to know. Principal is the original amount you invested in. So the original amount you put into the bank is called the principal. So make a note of this definition. Compound interest, it is added to the principal and will itself earn interest. So it's basically interest on interest on interest, year on year on year. This will make sense with an example soon. And the simple interest is not added to the principal. So compound interest here, it says here Professor Frink has 10% compound interest on his £200. Each year, the money on his account will increase by 10%. Here's how the first year looks. So year zero, initially he has £200. After the first year, it increases by 10%. Okay, it increases by 10%. So remember how to do percentage increase using the multiplier method. You times that by 1.1 and you get £220. And then again, there's an increase by 10%, not from the original amount, but from what you got for year one. Okay, so to work out what you're going to get in year two, you're going to have a 10% increase from the value you got in year one. So £220 times by 1.1 will give you £242. And then again, okay, a 10% increase on £242 will give you £266.20 after year three. And then so on. Year four times by 1.1 and then year five times by 1.1. Okay, but this is kind of quite long. Okay, to work out compound interest after 5 years, Doing it step by step is very long. So we can do this, we can calculate this with a compound interest formula. Okay, so this is the formula you need to know. Please copy it down. It's fairly straightforward. You just plug in the values. So it's, to work out the new amount, all you have to know is the original amount multiplied by the multiplier to the power of n, okay, where n is the number of years. So for example here, okay, 5% simple interest, so £400 is invested for 3 years. So part A, how do you work out a simple interest of 5%? What we do is we work out 5% of £400, that's £20. And they just do £20 times by 3 because you've invested for 3 years. So the extra interest that you get, the extra simple interest that you get is going to be £20 multiplied by 3 years, which is £60. Okay. And then you do £400, which is the amount you had initially, plus the £60 interest that you got after 3 years. That would be £460 simple interest. So fairly straightforward. But this compound interest now, you need to use the formula. The original amount is £400. So my £400 is the £400 is my principal. Okay. £400 is my principal. My multiplier, because it said 5% interest, how do I work out my multiplier? Remember I said 5%, you need to work that out as a fraction. That's just going to be 5 over 100. But remember, if it's a 5% compound interest, it's going to be a 5% increase. Okay, anytime an interest is involved, it's an increase, not a decrease. So it's actually going to be 105%. Okay, working out as a fraction, that's going to be 105 over 100. And then working it out as a decimal would just be 105 divided by 100, which is 1.05. Okay, so our multiplier would be 1.05. And then n, which is the number of years you invested in, is 3 years. Okay, so 400, my original amount, multiplied by my multiplier 1.05 to the power of 3, okay, to the power of 3 gives me £463.05. So please copy down this example here. So all we're doing for compound interest is really just using this formula, okay? You're really just using this formula. You work out your original amount. So principal, another word is just the original amount, okay? If that was maybe change the formula to original amount, okay? And then the multiplier would just be 5% plus 100%, which is 105%. And then you need to convert this into a decimal, and that will be your multiplier. And then remember, n is always the number of years that you invested in. And in this example here, it's 3 years. Okay? All right. What I'd like you to do now is using the formula, please work out how to work out the compound interest if you put £500 into a bank for 4 years and we're paid 3% interest. So that's question 1. And then question 2, if you put in £100 in a bank for 24 years and we're paid £4% interest per year, how much would you have? So please work out part A and then part B using the formula. Okay, so have a go, then press play when you're ready to carry on. Okay, so the first one, remember, the original amount is £500 multiplied by my multiplier. So my multiplier, 3% increase. It's a 3% increase, right? So a 3% increase is just going to be 103%. As a multiplier, that will be 1.03 divided by 100. Okay, so you worked out what your multiplier is, and then to the power of 4. Again, use your calculator. You can't do this in your head. You need to be able to use a calculator. Okay, so £500 times 1.03 to the power of 4, and that gives you £562.75. Okay, if you put in £100 in a bank for 24 years and we're paid 4% interest per year, how much would you have? Again, the original amount is £100 times by 1.04. Apologize. This bit here should be 1.04 to the power of 24 because it's 24 years. N is 24 years. and that putting that into your calculator will give you £256 and 33 pence. Okay, so remember 4% interest. How do you work that out? You just add it on, so it'd be 104%. Okay, and then as a multiplier, you divide it by 100, and that'll be 0.04. Okay, all right. Thank you so much for listening.